First thing I want to talk about this week is something that I already talked about last week, and that is the in-season tournament. But quite frankly, my feelings on it may have changed a little bit. Last week, if you caught it, I talked about how I really didn't like the in-season tournament. I thought that at the very least, it could have waited a year. I thought that maybe it had some potential. Obviously, financially, it's good for some of the players, especially on weaker contracts or on rookie scale contracts. Maybe not weaker, but you guys get what I'm saying. But I'll say, I watched the quarterfinal game last night between the Pacers and the Celtics, and obviously, they even alluded to it on the broadcast. The game wasn't quite as fun if you were a Celtics fan, but, even I, as a Celtics fan watching us lose in the end, couldn't help but be blown away by the amount of passion and fire that not only the players were playing with, but that the fans in that arena in Indianapolis were cheering with. And it was really, really something else. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and I couldn't help but be in awe. And it was really, really cool. It was an energy that around this time in the NBA season just doesn't normally happen. These are really the kind of boring days, as you would say in baseball, the dog days. And the reason is because, there's not really a whole lot going on. Playoffs aren't even close to coming. You still got 65 games left or 60 games left or close to it. It's a tough schedule, and there's just not a lot of excitement at this point in the season because the adrenaline of starting the season's worn off. You're into it now. You're traveling. You're practicing every day. You're playing, every other day around there anyway. And you're just in go mode. But playoffs aren't even close. It's just the dog days. But last night's game, I mean, the Pacers team and the Pacers fans, you could say what you want. You could call it a little odd. You could say they shouldn't have felt this way, or they should felt this way, or it's great, or it's bad, or it's whatever. I don't care what the opinion is. They treated last night like it was their NBA Finals. And that's how they're going to treat the semifinal game. That's how they're going to treat the finals game if they make it. That's how their fans and their players are going to treat this, because let's be honest with ourselves, as good as the Pacers have played over the last few games, not a whole lot of people are giving them a shot to win a championship this year. Now, look, that's not to say that I don't think that the Pacers are a good team. I think they are. I've actually, quite frankly, been screaming on this channel since last year that, one, not only are the Pacers underrated, I thought that they could be the 4 or 5 seed this year. I said that on this podcast. Now, I know that I said it with my friend Evan, who's going to, start joining the podcast a little bit more as well. But unfortunately, that never aired. I never actually released the video, but I do have it in recording. So I know I said that to him. I think the Pacers could, honest to goodness, be a 4 or 5 seed in the East this year. I think that they are that talented. And if anybody has been following this channel for any period of time, you know how much I love Tyrese Halliburton. I have been a big fan of Tyrese Halliburton since college. I was hoping the Celtics would draft him. We were 2 picks away, but obviously he was drafted by the Kings, who didn't need him. And obviously the Kings didn't know what to do with him, so they traded him to Indiana, and now obviously he's a burgeoning superstar. I could not believe last night when they said that Tyrese Halliburton has not had a primetime game on TNT in his entire career. And he's been playing in the NBA. I think this is his 4th season, maybe even 5th season. I mean, he's 25 years old at this point. It's not like he just got drafted. He's a veteran now. Not to say that he's old, obviously, but he's played 3 or 4 years at this point. That's crazy to think that a national audience, or at least a portion of a national audience, has not had a chance to see Tyrese Halliburton play, because as he showed last night, he can take over a game in the blink of an eye, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, in a way that is so unique to him that even at parts of the game last night, I was thinking, man, I wish we had a guy like that. I wish Jason Tatum could do things like that. I wish Jaylen Brown could do things like that. I wish Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis or any of our players could do what Tyrese Halliburton is doing. He just flipped a switch, and that was it. We couldn't stop him. And so I love Tyrese Halliburton. And I think that he already is a top 4 to 5 point guard in the NBA. I don't want to hear the arguments that he's not, because I'm just not going to listen to them. I think that he is absolutely phenomenal to watch, and I love watching every single second of him, even if he's putting a whooping on the team that I love. So that's okay. And you know, again, getting back to the actual game and the actual in-season tournament, even if you're a Celtics fan last night, you're watching that game going, I don't really think we lost this game. I think the Pacers just wanted it more and cared about it more, and they pulled it out. Not every game is a game that the Celtics lose because they beat themselves. Every once in a while, you're going to have a team that shows up that just plays better than you. And the Pacers played better than them. They hit crazy shots. Tyrese Haliburton hit a 3 where I don't even know if he had control of the basketball. He literally just was like fumbling it all over and then just threw it up. And it felt like the ball was in the air for an hour and a half. And then it just dropped right in. And, you know, he hit a crazy and 1-3 to, you know, to break I think it was a 105 tie or something like that, you know, late in the fourth quarter. Amazing. They played so well, and they're so fast. You know, they play so quickly, and they're young and they're hungry. And when you play a young and hungry team, and that entire team is united and hungry, they can be dangerous for one night or 2 nights or even a playoff series. I think that the Pacers could win a playoff series against certain teams, against a team like, you know, like Brooklyn, or a team like Philly, or a team like maybe even Milwaukee or Boston. I think that they could, for sure. Definitely once you start getting into the middle of the pack, you know, like the Knicks or the Magic, the Magic are actually top 3 in the East, I think, still. But either way, the point being, I think the Pacers have a great shot to win a playoff series this year if they stay hot. Now, obviously, when you have a young team, they also can have super low lows, right? They can have really high highs like last night, and they can have really low lows. That's a part of having a young team. They've got to learn how to deal with the adversity. And the players admitted last night was the biggest game that they've played in since they've been in Indiana. At least Tyrese Haliburton, right? You know, a lot of them have never even made the playoffs. I think Miles Turner has been on a playoff team for Indiana, but I mean, did they win anything? I doubt it. So last night may have been the biggest game of their careers thus far, and the Celtics, that just wasn't the case for them, nor should it have been the case. They have their eyes on other things. So I'm not mad about last night, you know, Celtics fan-wise. I loved every second of the game. Obviously, I wish that we won every game we played, but realistically, that's not going to happen. And I think that if that game was in Boston, it would have been a little different, like it was the last time we played them, although they didn't have Tyrese, and we beat them by 50, which is just wildly unrealistic. I think the Pacers shot like 5 for 40 from 3 or something like that in that game. I mean, it was something crazy. But either way, my opinion on the in-season tournament, watching the actual tournament begin, other than pool play, man, if every game is going to be like last night, sign me up forever. I just love watching basketball. I love watching good basketball. I love watching crazy fan bases go crazy. And last night was just all of those things rolled up into one. 2 really good teams duking it out. Great players on both sides. The home team ends up pulling it out in the end, beating the quote-unquote better team for the upset win, even though I really don't think in that context it should be considered an upset. But man, if every game's going to be like that, sign me up. I doubt every game's going to be like that because I think Indiana has a different energy than just about any other team in the NBA at this moment. Certainly tonight's game, right? I mean, you know, Bucks-Knicks will probably be a pretty good game. But, I mean, after that, you got Suns-Lakers. I mean, does LeBron James really care about an in-season tournament at this point in his career? I doubt it. Does Kevin Durant really care about an in-season tournament at this point? I doubt it. Bradley Beal, doubt it. Devin Booker, doubt it. Anthony Davis, doubt it, right? You know, maybe I'm being a little harsh with that, and maybe the game's going to be great. Obviously, you guys will know before I do because I'm recording this right now, and you're watching it after it's already happened. But I don't know. I just, maybe not every game's going to be like last night, but if it's even close, sign me up every year, no matter what. I had a blast watching that game. It was such a different feel. Even the last games of pool play were just different. I loved every second of it. Sign me up. Now, all the things I said last week still stand, right? I think there's some things that you certainly need to improve upon in terms of pool play, in terms of setting things up, in terms of court and player safety. But at the same time, I think truly the NBA has something special on their hands, especially when you got, unfortunately the Magic didn't make it because of point differential, but I think when you got teams like the Magic, teams like the Pacers, teams like the Thunder, teams like the Pelicans that are still in it, I believe. I think they won last night against the Kings, like teams that are young and hungry. And yes, the Pelicans are good, but I don't know if I'm willing to consider them championship contenders right now. I'm not sure really anybody is willing to do that. So I would say, they probably have more motivation to win this tournament than, the Kings had last night, or the Warriors would have, or the Nuggets would have, or the Lakers or Clippers would have, even though the Lakers are obviously in the tournament still. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. I would love to be able to hear what you guys have to say regarding all of this. Do you guys like the in-season tournament? Do you hate the in-season tournament? Are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know in the comment section. I would love to be able to have a chat with you guys about it.